We have Tim Ballard with us. He is the author of several books, and this is actually how I knew Tim to begin with, but we'll get into that a little later because we have something really important to share with you. But he is the founder and CEO of Operation Underground Railroad. He's also the CEO of the Nazarene Fund. I want to get a quick update on the Nazarene Fund because there's some amazing things that have happened. And let me just, if I can, I'm going to go through some of them. We have, in just 2019, assisted in the relocation of 25,053 refugees, provided support for 27,300 internally displaced persons, delivered food, medicine, heating oil, and supplies to over a dozen Christian and Yazidi refugee camps in Iraq, Lebanon, and Jordan. Project Roham, which rescued desperate Syrian Christians fleeing the fighting in Syria, and were being abused by Iranian-backed militias as they traveled to find safety in Iraqi Kurdistan. In Thailand, we have a group of about 300 people. They're Christians. They're stranded in a jungle. Why are they stranded in a jungle,
Because
Tim?
the Burmese military doesn't like Christians, and they're driving them out of their homes.
Right. They're coming up to these communities, and they're slaughtering them at night. There's this coming in and slaughtering them. We've been delivering food, medicine, and, believe it or not, plastic tarps to make rainproof shelters. This is the way the UN usually does stuff, is they'll just take these horrible tarps and make them into tents, and then they just leave. We're not leaving, we're staying, and this is the best that anyone can do in this particular situation. We also have a team that's providing security for evacuations in the event of another attack like what happened last year. We also have been involved in March and April. We rescued, transported, and provided aid to 75 Yazidi women and children during and immediately after the fighting that had been happening in Syria. We have helped reunite former captives with their families while providing food, medicine, shelter, transportation, and surgeries for the critically wounded. How's the little boy? What's his name? Zeinal?
Zeinal, yeah. He was in Baghuz. That's the last town that the Allied forces had to push ISIS out of, and they lost their sovereignty finally. But the problem is people think it's over because they don't control any sovereign land, but that's not true. Al-Qaeda never controlled any, sovereign land. They're just as big a threat. There's been over 1,000 just this year attacks that ISIS has launched against Christians and Yazidis. It's horrific what's going on, and they're largely being forgotten. They tell us all the time, the Nazarene Fund, you're the last people still here, and it's the truth.
Yeah,
We've been down there.
We're running very low on funds for the Nazarene Fund. Please donate $5 a month, $10 a month. And help us. It takes $20 to free a slave today, $20. So we really need your help. Just go to NazareneFund.org, NazareneFund.org.
And this little boy, Zeinal, 12 years old, sweet kid. We'll post pictures up on the website. He has shrapnel up in his kidneys, his leg. He's close to lose his leg. He could lose his leg. We got him out. He was stuck in the final fight.
And he was 4 years a slave, right?
Yes, that's right. And now we have him out. We have him in a safe house. He's healing, but we're raising money specifically for this little boy. Check out the pictures. It's just horrifying, but we can heal him.
Okay. We have 11 special cases that we're currently working on. A 9-year-old Christian girl, Christine, rescued along with her family. She's already out of Iraq.
We got her out last month,
and resettling in Australia, where this community in Australia is amazing.
It's amazing.
How many people have we moved there? Do you know?
Thousands. Thousands. And they're building churches. They're building these Christian churches, these little, beautiful little, houses of worship, and they're so happy they're free.
And the girl that we were, that everybody thought was lost.
Yeah.
We found her as a slave, rescued her, right?
Yes.
What's her name?
Naveen. 12 years old. Imagine this. And I want people to personalize this. Imagine terrorists storming your home, ripping your 12-year-old daughter out of your hands, and you don't see her for 3 years. And kill the father. Mother's a sex slave as well. 3 years later, we get the mom out. And she's just a mess. Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? We couldn't find her daughter. All the reports that we had said that she was gone. She was dead. So mom goes on to Australia, sadly, but she has to go. And then a few months later, we get to call her and say, you won't believe this. We found your daughter. She's now 16 years old. She's healing. We're getting her papers. We're expediting. Australia has just been a godsend.
They have been.
And it's just taking people in. And so we, in a couple weeks, Glenn, we're so excited. We're going to go out to Iraq, pick her up, and deliver her to her mom in Australia. And we're trying to work with your team.
I really want to go. I'm on vacation that week, and if I can convince my family, I think I'm just going to go with you because I really want to see that, and I want to meet the people. These people have been so great that we have taken out. You know, all these countries say you can't take the people out. You can't trust them. Blah 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 blah. Yes, you can. You just have to know how to vet them.
That's right, and that's what the Nazarene Fund does. Right? Australia has recognized us as the preeminent kind of organization that can vet. They know that we're sending them good people, citizens, great people, and they're thriving in Australia today.
Yeah, and enjoying freedom, and they will be giving back to Australia. The only thing that's holding us back, again, is funding, and we really need your help at Nazarene Fund, the NazareneFund.org. Okay, I'm going to pause for 1 minute, then I'm going to come back because I want to talk to Tim about a couple of other things. And they revolve around a book that he wrote 10 years plus ago. And he's been following this storyline, and he's gotten to the Pilgrims. But I want him to tell you the story, and I want you to see what's happening in Massachusetts, where the Pilgrims are going to be, where we're going to be, quote, celebrating 400 years, the 400th year of the landing of the Pilgrims. The town has decided they're not going to use the word celebration. Wait until you hear this story, and it ties into what I believe we have to do in the next 12 months. And we'll get to that in 1 minute. Well, a few things that can change your life, or at least your entire outlook of the day or the week, is a call from your kid's school because they're in the principal's office or a key employee is calling in sick while you're on vacation. These are the day ruiners. The ones that can really ruin your financial day, financial week, are the ones when you get the check engine light going off on your dashboard and you're like, oh no, I don't have any money to check my engine right now. Please go off. I mean, you look for the fuse. What will make that light go off? What will make that light go off usually is a lot of money. CarShield will have you covered. CarShield will, when your check engine light comes on, you can't spend the thousands of dollars. They make the process of fixing your car for a covered repair super, super easy at carshield.com. You can have your favorite mechanic or the dealership do the work. It's your choice. They also provide 24/7 roadside assistance and a rental car while yours is being fixed. That's all free. It's CarShield. carshield.com. Get covered before you get whacked with an expensive repair on your car. carshield.com. That's carshield.com. Call 800-CAR-6000, 800-CAR-6000, or carshield.com. Promo code BECK. We pause now for 10 seconds. Station ID. Because I know David Barton, I knew a story of a covenant that the United States made with God, and George Washington made that covenant. It took him about 4 hours to make that covenant. It was right after his inauguration, and he said, hey, everybody, let's walk down to the church. And they did, and he prayed for 4 solid hours. Tim wrote a book about this, how many years ago?
Oh, like probably 8-9 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. And it's called the Covenant, right? Okay. And it's all about George Washington making this covenant. Explain what the covenant is.
The covenant is based in biblical principles, the Old Testament, where how a nation can build itself under God. And the founders quoted more than any other source, by far, the Old Testament, more than Locke, more than Hobbes, more than any philosopher, because they were trying to build a nation under God, and they believed the only way they could do this, the only way the Pilgrims could survive the wild wilderness, the only way George Washington could beat the world superpower was to make a covenant with God like they did in the Old Testament, and that would bring us liberty for all. That's the whole idea, is religious liberty for all religions, for all ways of life. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's absolutely proven in our history. You can't deny that they said these things and they did these things.
Right. Yeah. And you could look at all of the coincidence that have saved this country over and over and again and dismiss them. Or you could say maybe there was something to the covenant, because the Pilgrims, when they came over, none of them wanted to come to North America. No. They didn't want to come to North. This was the last place they wanted to come. They thought that this was a death mill, because everybody who came here for gold, usually. Anybody who came here, they were killed. They had a horrible experience. They starved to death. The natives slaughtered them. Whatever it was, it didn't work out well.
That's right. And
so when one of their ships comes limping back and coming to port, the pastor, he's like, you know what? We're glad you're back. We're going to have to save our money and go a year from now, but I think we should go to North America. And when that was said, a lot of the Pilgrims left. They said, I'm not going there. But the ones who did knew that they needed a covenant. That's correct?
Right. 100%. Yeah, people think they were exiled or something. No, they had a lot of options. They had a lot of places they could have gone. They had a solemn assembly. Pastor John Robinson led that, and they said, God told us to go to this crazy place. They knew it was crazy, but they knew they were going to start something that we all now benefit from. Mm-hmm. And the very people who benefited from their sacrifice and the covenant they made are the ones now turning on them.
Right.
It's insane, and they're turning on them. And you mentioned this, next year's the 400th anniversary of the landing of the Pilgrims in Plymouth, which is our history. It's our story. It's what made us who we are today. And there's a guy I'm working with, you know him, Leo Martin and his wife Nancy. Mm-hmm. Go to Jenny House, everybody. Go to Plymouth, Jenny House. They are soldiers on the front line, deployed downrange, and they're fighting a fight, Glenn, that you won't believe. I can't comprehend what's going on here. They're trying to celebrate the 400th anniversary of this, and the city council and all the groups in Plymouth got together and said, you will not use the word celebrate. This is a mourning. We're going to mourn the landing of the Plymouths and the Pilgrims in Plymouth. And I said, I was with him last week. I said, Leo, I'm going to go see Glenn. We're going to bring light to this and truth to this story. This is our story.
You have his phone number?
Yeah.
Let's call him. Get his phone number out and let's see if we can get him on the phone. This is how far and how crazy we have gone. We have gone to the point to where the city of Plymouth will not have a celebration. They will have a day of mourning that their ancestors, probably most of them, came over here in the first place.
100%.
Nobody knows what their life would have been like.
And the important thing that we're losing here, they created the formula that brought us all what we have today.
Yes, I know.
They have theirs is the textbook for this, and we're turning on it. It's like we're committing suicide. We're turning on the text, trying to hide it, dismantle the foundations they built for us. And where's that going to lead us? Nowhere good.
And our Pilgrims talking, because you're writing a new book about Pilgrims.
Yes,
the Pilgrims were not like the Englishmen that came over to Virginia.
That's right.
That raped and pillaged.
That's right.
That's not what the Pilgrims did.
Oh, it's beautiful. The relationship that Massasoit, the Indian chief, had with Bradford and with Winslow and with the first generation of Pilgrims. They had the longest treaty ever established and ever worked out and lived on this land. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. You know, they're talking about later generations that did bad things to each other. Mm-hmm. But that's not the Pilgrims that came here. That's not what we're celebrating. These Pilgrims who had peace. They truly did. And that story is our textbook. And
the Indians could have slaughtered them.
Yes. They thought about doing it too.
Right. They thought about it. And what stopped them?
Massasoit.
Why?
So historians say today that might be the only place that they could have landed that they wouldn't have been slaughtered. Massasoit ordered the slaughter, and then he said, stop. I mean, don't do it. Don't do it. And instead, he starts sending the few English speakers amongst the tribe, Squanto, for example, Samoset, to go in and help. And then the Pilgrims in turn helped. And they came to each other's aid. They sacrificed life and limb for each other. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful relationship. why desecrate this? Why try to destroy this? This is a story of unity and of peace and prosperity. Again, later generations, King Philip's War, we can talk about that, what happened after. Mm-hmm. But let's get to the core of who these pilgrims were.
But again, that was the king. That was the English king. You know, there were lots of people that came here for other reasons, mainly gold and to enrich the motherland. That's not what the pilgrims were trying to do.
That's right.
We have Nancy and Leo Martin on the phone now.
Excellent.
From Plymouth. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Leo.
Hi, Glenn.
How are you?
Very good. So Tim is just here. He's telling me that you guys are facing crazy things. What's happening in Plymouth?
Well, we're getting ready to celebrate the 400th anniversary, but sometimes the story's not told the way it really happened. And what we do here at the museum is we tell the founding of our country from a biblical worldview. And the contest we have here is that there's a secular worldview, and it's not biblical worldview. And the ace in the hole for us is the pilgrims did what they did from a biblical worldview.
Right.
So we're telling the truth. And there is some pushback, but if there wasn't, we wouldn't be in the game. We're okay with that. But we need to be able to tell the story. We need to be able to tell it well to make sure people understand the real Christian founding of our country.
And you, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we need people to know that. We just need them to know what we're doing.
So Tim was telling me that the city has decided to not use the word celebration, instead use the word mourning.
Well, we can't. They don't want us to use the word celebration. In place of that, they want to use the word commemoration.
Yeah.
Commemoration.
They don't. Their thinking was they're not celebrating the founding of our country, but they're mourning it because of the bad treatment of the Indians, which of course never happened in Plymouth. I'm not defending other things, but it never happened in Plymouth. So we really need to tell the right story of how the pilgrims came here, not for riches, but to build a society. See, why are we America's hometown and not Jamestown? Because we came as families, and we developed a country around the family, not around the country. And it's a huge difference. So we're telling that story of how we came and we assimilated with the Indians. We wrote a peace treaty with them. We got along with them, and we'd like to tell that story. Were they perfect? Of course not. But it's a human story, and that's what we're telling.
Nancy, how alone are you guys now in that area?
Very alone. Very alone. And in all aspects, really.
But you have the documentation. I mean, we have all of the evidence that that's who these people were. How are they getting around actual physical evidence?
Well, they're leaving out certain parts that, for example, the quote by William Bradford, the ending of the quote says, "In the name of Jehovah." How does that exactly go? I don't have it in my hand, but they're leaving that out. So they just leave out things that point right to the obvious. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, I wish we had more time with you. I've got to run, but I would like to talk to you some more. And when is the official anniversary?
The official anniversary is 2020. It begins the beginning of next season.
And when did they what date did they first land?
They landed here in 1620 in late November. Back then there were two calendars, so it was late November that they landed.
Wow. Not the time to land a ship in Massachusetts.
No.
Right.
No, and the celebrations will go on all year. Some of them we'll be doing, and some of them the 400th will be doing.
Thank you so much, Nancy and Leo. Where do you find them if you're going up?
Jenny House. Leo dresses like a pilgrim. It's the most amazing experience. He takes you. It's sacred ground. You're walking on hallowed ground with Leo.
All right, more in just a second. We're with Tim Ballard, and we're talking about the American Covenant. And this covenant was made by the Pilgrims. It was made by Bradford when he came over in the Mayflower in the ship. It's where we get the city, the shining city on the hill. That's what they were making the covenant, and that's who we're going to be, and the whole world will look to us. And so we can't hide our light, which I don't know how much light we have left in us, but some people are still hiding it, and they're afraid, and political correctness is making us erase everything that's connected to that light and that covenant. Washington made a covenant. Then was the next time that the covenant was made was with Lincoln?
I think so.
And is that the last time?
I worry that, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so tell exactly what the covenant is, because it's not like a proclamation.
No, what the covenant is truly a belief that the people believe that if they act a certain way, a covenant means a two-way promise. If they act a certain way, like the people of the Bible did, and that's who they quoted, that was their inspiration for building this nation, can't deny it, those are the facts. If you can live a certain way, then the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will bless you.
Right.
And bless this land with liberty.
It is the whole if-then proposition that you find in the Bible all the way through. If you do these things, then this will happen. And if you don't, well, kind of you're on your own.
April 30th, 1789, standing at Federal Hall, the first Capitals, the day the Constitution comes into play. You mentioned last block that Washington led the people 4-hour prayer at St. Paul's Chapel. But before he did that, he stood as president, and in his first speech, he said this. He said, "The smiles of heaven can never be expected upon a nation that disregards the eternal rules of order and right, which heaven itself has ordained." We can't erase that. He said it. He said it. He put his arm to the square. He put his hand in the Bible, kissed the Bible, so help me God. He made the covenant. And then he took the House and the Senate, newly elected, to St. Paul's Chapel and said, we're going to pray to God that he receives this offering. We can't change that history. That's the history of this nation. That's what built it. That's what made it. And the Pilgrims started it.
And so Lincoln was in a situation where the Union was being lost. And at the beginning, he cares deeply about slaves, but he is talking about the Union. We can't lose the Union.
That's right.
Now, he's running on an anti-slavery platform. That's what everybody knew. That's what he was going to do. He's elected, and that's when he realizes he's coming into Washington. Oh, my gosh, half this country. I mean, it's not what I thought it was. Half this country is ready to kill me.
That's right.
And ready to kill me because I want to free the slaves. Yep. The South secedes. He says at the beginning of the war, this is about bringing the Union back together. We can't lose our Union. But about halfway through the war, as we're losing every single battle, I think we only won 1 or 2.
And we should have won all.
Yeah.
2-1, out-resourced them, outmanned them. But
right.
Yeah.
We're losing our shirts. What happens to Lincoln?
Lincoln has a conversion to the covenant. And it's so clear. And these aren't hypotheticals, by the way. Like, you read his words. His son Willie dies in February of 1862. He's already humbled. Now he's just in the dirt humbled. And he says he turns to God like he never has before. His wife talks about it. He starts reading his Bible. The nurse that's sent over to take care of little Tad after Willie's dead because Mary's a mess starts teaching him more about the Bible. And then he goes to William Seward. He goes to his cabinet and he says, quote, "God is talking to me and we need to free the slaves. This war is not just about the Union anymore. It is a moral crusade." Now, he couched it, he was very careful. He's a great politician. He used the Constitution in a way that he could do this legally and roll it out from Emancipation to 13th Amendment. But if you read what he was all about, God spoke to him. Mary Lincoln came to him on the eve of him pushing out the Emancipation Proclamation, and she said, "You're not going to do this. You promised the nation you wouldn't. You stood before the nation in your first inaugural address. This was not going to be about liberating slaves already in slavery, just not about expanding it in other territories." And he says to her, he looks at her, he looks up to heaven, he looks back at her, and he says, "I am a man under orders. I can do nothing but free the slaves." And he talks about it, and then he starts telling the people, it's not some formalistic prayer like we do today. He said, listen, just like Washington did, if you want liberty back, if you want peace back, turn to God and live righteously. If then, he said it. He said, repent of our sins. He talked, that's how he spoke, just like John Adams did, just like George Washington did.
So I told Tim 2 months ago, a month ago, I don't know when I told you, that I was going to do something big, a restoring event next summer. And I have felt strongly that it is supposed to be a renewal of the covenant. And you immediately, and I said to you, I think you need to be there. You need to at least be on the board, if you will, to help shape it, because we have to do it exactly right. We have to repeat Washington and Lincoln. We have to do it right. And we as a people need to gather together and do it. So next summer, we're going to do it. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen in between to be able to get there. But we as a people can renew the covenant, correct? Because it is about us.
It's the people. It's the people, absolutely.
Are we the only country besides Israel, right, that has the covenant?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, these are two promised lands. There's only nations I know of that literally rolled out that way. Right. Historical evidence,
and
they're covenant lands.
And the Pilgrims, they left Holland because I'm sure they'll make it someday about tulip allergies, but they actually left because it was not a blessed land, right? It was not a coveted land.
They left because God told them in their solemn assembly, go to that land and make of it a covenant land. I have a work to do there. That's why they went there.
So anyway, this is the thing. I would just ask that you would you'd keep your calendar clear for summer next year, and you plan on spending your vacation with us, or at least a few days of your vacation, and hopefully this fall I will be able to have enough lockdown where I'll be able to tell you where we're going to be. I have distinct ideas, but I don't want to share until we have it all locked down. But keep your plan open for next year. And you actually, I can announce this now, that you are going to be joining us on our cruise this spring.
Yes.
And one of the things we're going to do is he's going to be teaching the covenant. So if you can bring your family to our cruise next spring, you can find out all about that at comesailaway.com. This is not a commercial, but comesailaway.com, and you're going to be there. And the week before we leave, something cool is happening.
Yes. The movie, the OUR story, starring Jim Caviezel, called The Sound of Freedom, will be released. And we'll be able to show that film on the ship.
Possibility of getting Jim Caviezel to come with us?
I'm working on getting Jim there. I think I can get him there. Yeah.
Hey, let's go to the Holy Land with Jim Caviezel. Hey, everybody, it's Jesus. Brought him along. Just thought he'd pop in, see how things are going. We could freak a few people out, I have a feeling. But that'd be great. That'll be great. So what I want you to do is just pray on the fact that we have to make a commitment with our families, and have your family pray about this, because it is our action that makes all the difference. It's not our positive thoughts, and quite honestly, it's not on a voting booth that's going to change these things. That's really important, and we have to elect the right people. But to really change this, we have to take action ourselves.
Yes, we do, and we will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir.